So for the first time, we felt what a customer feels like. So when a customer says to us, I'm not sure I'm going to get what I want. How do I know that you're going to design the home that we're after? For the first time ever, we actually genuinely felt like the customer.
Welcome to this episode where Jean-Pierre interviews Washington from West Coast Residential. In this podcast, they talk about the industry as a whole and what is to come.
Hi guys, really excited to be chatting with Washington from West Coast Residential. Washington, you specialise in new custom homes in Perth and surrounding areas.
Yep, new homes.
We've both been looking forward to doing this podcast for a long time. Thank you for coming all the way over here for it. And you managed to also do some family holiday as well.
Definitely, yep.
Which is
doing
great.
The sightseeing while we're here.
That's it. We've got a really great topic to discuss today, which you came up with, which I'm really excited about. Before we get to that, let's give some context to the people who are going to be watching and listening to this. Can you tell us a bit of a story of where you started in this industry? Because that's kind of, we're going to be talking about industry.
Yep.
How did you get into it and what did that look like?
So my early grassroots was literally growing up in the industry, school holidays. Dad was a builder. I'd help on weekends, school holidays. It was pretty much my destiny. I didn't have a choice, like all dads. His dad was a builder, so I'm third generation builder. Look, growing up in the industry has given me an opportunity to see like many different facets of the industry. So originally from Sydney, did most of my early years there, and then moved over to Perth and registered, got builder's registration there. Worked for a couple of big project builders. Again, got to see the good and the bad.
What were some of the things you gained from that?
I gained office experience as well.
What were some of the roles you went through?
Yeah, so I started as a scheduler, and their roles to basically pull a home apart and order materials for it. So that was absolutely valuable and a catalyst really to starting my business, because without that,
scheduling is pretty important.
It's pretty important, like
especially in the last 2 years. Huh?
Yeah. So the opportunity there is that you see how all the departments tie in together and work. From there, I went supervising.
Okay.
So that's responsible for the work on site. Formed great relationship with trades. Great relationships with suppliers.
That's important.
And then went off and started my own business. A lot of those suppliers.
What was the catalyst for that? Was that always the goal? Or was there something that happened, or something that clicked?
There were a couple of things that happened. I think the main one was the fact that I'd get to site as a supervisor, and clients were always so frustrated with the process. At the end, they loved the process, but I felt I was doing that for someone else, and I should be doing that for myself. So that was a big thing. And just along the way, I just saw opportunities to do things different, a little bit better. It's not all doom and gloom project building, but when you're building volume, unfortunately, there is a sacrifice. But I just felt the experience, and I compare it to buying a car. You know, that feeling that you get when you walk in, buy a car, that it's just, you can't replicate that feeling. So,
is there a car that comes to mind? I know you're a big fan of your car.
The old Land Cruiser comes to mind. Unfortunately, I drive a Ranger for work every day, but that's okay. But so we wanted to somewhat replicate that experience for our clients.
That exciting.
And so we started in 2012. So we've been 10 years now. And I haven't looked back. It's just been goal after goal, and just we've formed some amazing friendships with clients and trades and suppliers. And I mean, look, we can't do what we do without the support of suppliers and trades. So that's obviously really important to us. But also just giving that client that experience that they're after. And I know the industry as a whole the last few years has been put under pressure. Just through government grants and obviously will increase workloads. And I remember, because it started, I think, July 2020, and we sat down in a meeting with Melinda, and we discussed what are we going to do, how are we going to manage this. And the one thing that we weren't going to sacrifice is on quality. Like, we conveyed the time delays, couldn't help that, but quality. We weren't going to build a client a crap home.
when you made that decision, because that's a really cool, and that's something I've really admired with you and Melinda, is also part of the business there. Is the deliberate and like purpose behind the decisions that you make. Did you communicate that with your clients that you look, guys, time delays 100%. We can't help, but quality is something we're not going to.
Yeah, so 100%, and that wasn't just a generic email; that was a phone call. Come in, we'll have a chat, and clients were hearing already that through the media and all the rest of it, so they were already half expecting. Okay. But it was just one thing that we weren't willing to compromise on. We'd worked far too hard to have it ruined in 2 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, no one really knew how long it was going to go for, but as it turns out, it's about 2 years, and the industry is changing. But I think what's important now as an industry is that we really dig down and focus on restoring that client experience, restoring some integrity in the industry. You know, you hear it through the grapevine, some of the practices that builders are employing, and it just can't form a standard business practice.
Yeah. If we go back to, so you've been running now, you said 12 years?
10
years, sorry.
2012.
2012, 10 years. What were the early days like? And what were the challenges with that?
Like any business, just finding the market that you're going to pursue. Yep. And just a general direction is always a little bit difficult, and there's just so many different, avenues you can take, and where do you point your business.
And in the beginning, did you find that you were kind of, the classic was, you're saying yes to everything, you're doing the reno, you're doing a new home?
We did a little bit of that.
Okay.
Initially. Renos were quickly thrown out the window, so we don't touch renos. But it was more what market you want to be in, and a lot of small builders want to go for that medium to high end market, and I knew, just based on my experience, I didn't want to go down that path.
Yeah.
I wanted to pursue that sort of first family home, second, third family home.
Yeah. What was it that appealed to you about that space? Or what drew you there?
It's just what we're really good at.
Yeah.
We're very efficient at building, and we're just generally very good at it. We know how to give the clients, a great journey. Yeah. Produce a good product. Mm-hmm. It's where a lot of our trades, their skill set is aligned to. So that wasn't a difficult decision for me. It was.
I think that's cool that you guys were able to identify that, because that's a conversation I have with a lot of builders. I mean, one in particular comes to mind where, we helped him. He wanted to step in from doing, renos, which he was really good at, $300,000 renos, somewhere there. Wanted to do the $1 million knockdown rebuilds. Yep. And we got him there, and he realised, you know what, my systems and processes are actually better serviced, and it's more profitable with me and my team and my trades to stick to the 300 to 500.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's, and so making that decision. And I mean, I know I spoke to one of our builders from down south on the podcast the other day about niching. So powerful.
Yeah, definitely. You can't be something to everybody.
Yeah.
And that's not being arrogant. That's just being honest. You can't be everything to everybody. And it's no different in any industry. You go to a doctor, a GP doesn't make out to be a gynecologist. You just can't be everything to everybody.
One thing that comes up with that, when I think the big fear that people have is, when I niche, will I get enough work? And how do I say no to people that don't fit that? How have you gone about that?
So saying no does take some courage and confidence. And initially it was hard to say no. Yeah. But a couple of podcasts I listened to, it was quite interesting, and it was actually an actor. I can't remember who the actor was, but and she said, she used to say yes to everything. And then on reflection, she felt it was, you're basically acting desperate. And her career actually kicked off when she learned to say no.
Wow.
And so that was really powerful, and I took that on board ourselves. Yeah. And when we learned to say no, that's when we knew who we were.
Yeah. Yeah.
A job came across, we really weren't a fit, we weren't a fit.
I think that's a really cool perspective to have, because when you have when you look at it through different lenses like that, it's empowering.
Yeah, definitely. One of the challenges, obviously, being a builder and having grown up in the industry is that
Yeah.
I'm too close to the industry. So I always revert to an analogy of a car buying because that's foreign to me. I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah.
So when I buy a car,
Yeah.
it's like everybody else. I'm just and everybody else. So it's a lot easier when I'm trying to understand either a client journey or how that makes a client feel, or even when I take a car to a mechanic and I know nothing about cars. So there's that hurdle of, are they going to look after my car?
Yeah.
Everyone's pride and joy.
Yeah.
So, I always revert to different industries just so I can get a better understanding of what it feels like to be that consumer.
Yeah.
We're good at building, but it's hard to separate myself from building because I live and breathe it.
But I think with the conversations that we've been having every now and again, we talk about things like, and you've been able to now put on that other hat, the consumer hat, and start experiencing that, which has meant you've really evolved your customer journey. That was the original topic I wanted to talk to you about.
Yep.
But then you came back with some ideas, which we'll jump in a sec. But I know even one conversation we were having, I don't know, one of us was doing a Macca's drive-through on the phone, and you're like, listen for, whatever they said. It's it's just this, and that was your consumer hat, understanding. Okay, that's what the client is going through, and that's how they're being spoken to. What can we learn from that? Either doing it or not doing it, which I thought was really cool. If we jump back a little bit, just before we jump into the topic of today, which is the industry and where it's come from, where it's going, and why it needs to be more customer focused. If we look at the time period just before you came on board with us, what was the business experiencing, and why were you looking? What kind of solution were you looking for? And
so pretty much before we jumped on with Biz Video, we were heavily dependent on brokers and word of mouth.
Yeah.
And I remember clearly, I had an idea in my head, but it was really difficult to get someone to actually understand it and run with it. It was through story.
Yeah.
So, and prior to meeting you guys,
What book was that you read?
I was going to go into that book. The Donnie Miller, How to Build a Story Brand, I think it was called. Building a Story Brand. And that really gave us like clarity on, okay, this is the formula now. Yeah. How do we get it?
Yeah.
So, and the whole objective was we wanted to basically not break free, but not be so dependent on brokers.
Right.
And that was important to us because we're happy to continue lubricating that source of work, but we wanted to explore different avenues of work. So,
and gain more control.
Yeah. Just different avenues of work.
Yeah.
Through designers, just position ourselves really in that market that we want to be in, which is that sort of...
Did you ever think it was possible for people to come directly to you rather than coming through referral
I knew
networks?
it was possible, but we had to do something
Yeah.
unique.
It doesn't just happen.
It doesn't just happen.
You have to proactively
It's like anything in the world.
make it. Yeah.
If you want it, you got to make it happen.
Yeah. That is one thing I do admire with you.
It's as simple as that.
Level of responsibility taking. And we just did a podcast this morning on that.
Yeah.
And why that is so important. And those that take a high level of responsibility, that concept of, all right, this isn't happening to me, it's happening because of me. What can I do to change it?
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool with you.
Yeah, you can't throw your arms in the air.
Doesn't get you anywhere.
The problem's still going to be there.
Yeah, that's it.
So you literally just got to face it.
We had lots of conversations back and forth before you came on board.
Yeah.
Bit of a skeptic. You had your ideas,
Yep.
but I think the big thing for you was trusting whether we could execute on it.
Yeah.
Elaborate on some of that skepticism and fear.
So for the first time in then would have been 8 years, we felt what a customer feels like. So when a customer says to us, I'm not sure I'm going to get what I want, or how do I know that you're going to design the home that we're after? Mm-hmm. For the first time, and we talk about it with Melinda all the time, for the first time ever, we actually genuinely felt like the customer. And because obviously filming and marketing and all that's pretty foreign. And every time that we would say, this worries us,
Yeah.
it was always interesting to hear your responses. And it wasn't, I can see why you'd be worried. It was always just a positive. We'll smash out of the park. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But it was for the first time ever, we felt like the customer vulnerable. Like, can we trust you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was an interesting journey.
And yeah, because there's somebody at the moment that I'm talking to, and they've been burnt so many times before, and that's holding them back from jumping on.
Yeah.
And they were going to reach out to you, I think. They're in Western Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Did they reach out to you?
No.
No. Okay.
That's who I'm thinking of. No.
No, because would love to have them chat with you, because we genuinely want to help and we genuinely believe we can.
Yeah.
But they're just so raw from past experiences. I think that's a lot of businesses and builders have had that experience.
Oh, look, I can see the hesitation, but it's been a great journey. Like, it's been a really good journey, and we've learnt a lot as well. So
what have been some of the things that you've learnt?
I think it comes back down to the trust thing and understanding that clients feel like how we felt at the start.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful. It's not till you've been there, because this is what we're good at, building, and you guys are good at your filming and marketing and the storytelling. And it's not until you actually feel that vulnerability that you can then relate it to, that's how my clients feel. He's an accountant, he doesn't know building.
Yeah.
So it just changes your perspective on, and that was really powering for us.
Okay. I mean, a big thing for you as well was because you had this idea of story so powerfully ingrained in you from reading Donnie Miller's book. I know that was another big concern for you. Because I know you've been burnt in the past by some people where it's been like, no, we'll definitely capture you. We'll capture you in this website or in this content or in this whatever, and you never felt like someone actually captured you?
No, unfortunately, a lot of the directions that the companies we've dealt with in the past wanted to take us was very project builderish, and we're not a project builder. Yeah. We don't build volume. Our model doesn't work for volume. Yeah. There's a place for volume, but that's not where I want it to be. Yeah. So it wasn't going to work. We don't need 5,000 inquiries. Yeah. That's not helpful. If we get one a week, that's good. That's far more valuable than 5,000 leads. You've got to filter through them. I don't have the resources. So it's, for us, it was not so much the volume of the inquiries, because anyone can make your phone ring. Yeah. And a lot of the, as I said, a lot of the direction was pretty much, well, what's your offer? The offer is we'll build you a well-built home for a fair and reasonable price. Like there's no free aircon, there's no gimmicks. Yeah. It's just, people see through that as well. And
I think what you've touched on there, and we discussed this in the previous podcast that we just recorded, is the lack of education. This idea of helping our builders understand that you can manufacture a great client. Yeah. It just takes education. It does. Taking that responsibility to go, what education am I providing this person? Yep. And not just once they start a conversation with me, but what am I doing to provide them education? Yeah, adding value. Before. But again, it goes back down to you can't be something for everyone. So the clients that want the free aircon and they're attracted to the cheap price, there's a market for them. Yeah. But you don't have to be something to everybody. Yeah. So there's always going to be people that don't want that. They just want a good experience. A question that I'm sure a lot of people watching this are going to ask is, does what we do work? Can you elaborate on it? Yeah, it works. Yeah, it works. How do you measure that? Well, I mean, I suppose it's like anything. It's what you get out of it. Obviously, I was quite involved in the whole process. Mel was quite involved in the process. And we obviously took everything we could from it. And all the worksheets that we had to do and all the workshopping, you've got to invest in it. Yeah. You've got to put the time aside, do it. It's like anything. It's not, there's no secret No magic
formula.
bullet.
No,
Yeah.
there's not. It's hard work, but teaming with the right people. And again, it's no different to building a house.
Yeah.
You're only going to get, our trades make us look good.
Yeah. Yeah. And what we've implemented the system, it's been running now for a year.
Yeah. So we've implemented some sales funnels. We've literally run for 12 months, and we're going to extend it for another 12 months.
Yeah.
We're going to continue partnering with you guys.
Yeah.
For as long as I'm running the business, pretty much.
Fantastic. What have been some of the measurable, on a micro level, but also macro as well? What have been some of the benefits, and how is the business different today?
I
compared to what it was?
honestly think it comes down to feeling the vulnerability that our clients felt, that you just can't experience that until you're in that position.
Yeah.
I think that is when the penny dropped for us.
Yeah.
And we just saw everything in a different light. What's the value to the client?
Yeah.
All those things.
Yeah.
How does it make the client feel? How, is it reassuring, or is it just unnecessary?
I love how you
mess?
looked at that, like that challenge or problem of us feeling vulnerable. Can we trust this process? Can we trust Biz Video? All that, and turning it into an absolute amazing opportunity. You go,
That's literally what it was.
This is what
Yeah.
it feels like. How can we go about making it a better customer experience?
Yeah.
With that learning of feeling that vulnerability and then taking that into an opportunity, the changes you made, can you highlight what were some of those changes you made in the business from that learning?
Yeah, so, we've changed pretty much everything in our business.
What's an example or several examples?
How we interact with a client when they first meet us.
What does that look like?
We start with a discovery meeting. So again,
What gets discussed in that? And I'm digging here.
yeah, everything. We just dig deeper on the client, what they're after. That's our opportunity to make sure we're a fit.
Yeah.
But it's the client's opportunity as well to feel comfortable that we're a fit. So it's a two-way street, and
How
that's where
much-
we can say no.
Yeah, that's a good point. That saying no is very important. So that, I like what you highlighted there, the depth you go to in that consultation to really understand,
Yep.
is this a fit? That's good. Rather than going down and then you realize it's not later on. When that person turns up to that meeting, how much have they consumed of you guys?
A fair bit
Okay.
by that stage. So
And you can vibe that? You know that? How do you measure it?
they know a lot about us, and I suppose if I go back to pre-Biz Video, you're having to tell your story every time.
Yeah.
Every time. And it's almost like a trust us spiel,
You can trust us.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Whereas when they've almost pre-qualified themselves that we're a fit. So half the time the discovery meeting is just to make sure that what they're after for their budget, we can deliver.
Yeah.
It's not, there's obviously a few questions there, but generally speaking, they're already half invested. So they're halfway there.
Wow. That's cool. Okay. What is another example where you've changed things?
The nurturing.
The nurturing?
Yeah. So we're
Elaborate on that.
utilising all the short videos,
Yeah.
the social media cuts. And when we started the process, again, it was difficult to understand their purpose.
Yeah.
But when you actually see them underway, they're very effective. And they're also an opportunity that clients that don't have 2 minutes
Yeah.
or don't want to watch an overview, but a topic that you've done a short media cut on attracts their attention. That works as well.
Yeah.
So, so on the sales front, the pre-construction side of things.
One thing I might just touch on, which I thought was a really cool evolution, just through, and this is another thing I really have, our whole team have really appreciated with you and Melinda, is how much you've lent in. You really see this as a partnership, and so we're catching up regularly, and we're throwing ideas around. And
Sometimes we'll feel like we're taking up so much of your time because we just
we
phone up
love
for a
it.
chat.
We love it because you come up with a challenge. This is the challenge we're having in the business. when this kind of client comes, or when they ask us this question, or with this whatever, and it gets us thinking. And like we talked about earlier, challenges are opportunities. So we can take a lot of those learnings, and we have, and apply it to others.
Yeah.
One thing I liked, we had the discussion about the design phase, and there was a big gap in contact.
Yes.
Can you go elaborate on that and where it was and changes you made?
Yeah. So when we sat down and workshopped the client journey, from the discovery meeting through to design through to pre-construction, we identified that there's opportunities there that we're not taking to touch base with clients. So a lot of those social media cuts help because they're just slowly dribbled to the clients. So I suppose we plugged one hole there. Because what you don't want to do is lose that emotional connection, which is what's powerful, and that's the whole catalyst behind the storytelling.
I really liked the one thing you mentioned to me was, they would have that consultation with you around the design if they're going to go ahead with beginning the design phase with you, and then a couple of weeks later you'd then present, but there was that gap in there, and it was awesome to throw some ideas around, and you guys just went straight in and started implementing it, and the feedback was fantastic. Just because the big thing is they don't know how much work you're putting in behind the scenes. Trying to do things. You need to connect those dots for them. Hey, we love the ideas that you guys have shared with us in the design. It's coming together. You reminded us about, and then attach their desires to someone else that's achieving it already.
No, it's been an interesting journey. A lot of learning. A lot of learning.
Yeah. Well, you guys are so...
We thought we knew a lot until it was like a reset and start again.
Man.
It was interesting.
With this topic that you're really passionate about, where are we coming from? Where are we going? When I say we, the building industry. And then how do we make the whole industry more customer focused? If we look at where things are coming from, the lenses that you're looking at that through, can you elaborate on that for us? Yeah,
so as an industry, and having been in it for a lifetime, I've never seen what we're literally coming out of.
What are we coming out of?
Just high demand of housing driven by grants. Obviously off the back of soft manufacturing due to COVID. For us in particular, over the west, we had the train line that connects the east and the west coast, which is obviously a supply chain route for materials that was damaged in a storm or a flood. So we had not only high demand but shortage of materials. It's never been
to this extent.
To this extent where you can't even get materials. I've never. So delays were horrendous. Trades, the demand for the industry was just horrific. So that was driven a lot by the grants, unfortunately. But it put both the consumer and the building industry in an uncomfortable position. Things were taking longer. Things were costing more.
Tough conversations.
So it's been a tough 2 years. And
I think a lot of builders will resonate with that.
All
builders will resonate with that.
Well, just, even when we went to the industry awards for the HIA, you look around and you just think, geez, I hope all these guys get through the other side of this, because it was literally that dire. So it was new territory for the industry. Where we're going.
One thing with that, I don't know.
Something clicked
there. The perspective that you look at, again, problems equal opportunities. So these challenges that we're going through, you've gone, all right, I know we've discussed this in the past. Everyone's going through this.
Yeah.
This is a challenge everyone is going through.
Correct.
I can either just coast along like everyone, letting it happen to me, or how can we do things differently? And I think you're probably going to touch on it, but where we're going, not many builders stop to think about that.
Yeah. So
where are we going, Washington?
Where are we going as an industry? I mean, it is a good time to build.
Why is that?
Because the demand has tapered off incredibly. We've had building permits come through in 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
We've had planning permits which were taking 3-4 months. 7 days we've had some back. It's just incredible. So material shortages has resolved. Trade shortages have pretty much resolved. Look, we were pretty lucky. We depended heavily on our trades.
But you've got a great
we've got a really good
You've
good
invested
core.
a lot into your trades.
Yeah, we've got a really good core trades, and I think where I look back, where we did capitalise on is not ripping them off when it was quiet. Our industry is very boom bust, and it's one of those industries where a lot
Building,
of
or you mean WA, Perth?
no, building in general.
Yeah.
When the demand's there,
Yeah.
the trades dictate the price, and when the demand's not there, builders dictate the price.
Sorry to jump in. That is something that has come up many times when I talk to builders, when we do breakfasts, when we do workshops.
Yep.
And that's something we try and stimulate that conversation so guys can learn from each other. How to manage the trades when
The way
they're in,
look,
powerful
and again, the
position.
way that I view it from is, imagine going to work on wages. You're on 100 grand a year, say, and you turn up on Monday, and because things are quiet, you get called in, you're going to be on 80 grand a year. Now, I know it's a little bit different because wages and subcontractors are slightly different, but these guys are running businesses as well.
Yeah.
They've got insurances, they've got registrations,
They might have
they've got
some
all
teams.
they've got all sorts of overheads
Yeah.
that wages don't have.
Yeah.
And I think it's only fair that we pay a fair price when it's busy and when it's quiet. And our concreter, for instance, I've got to take our hat off to him because yes, we were paying him a fair price when it was quiet, but he maintained that price when it was busy.
Wow.
And he fitted our jobs in. So whilst other businesses were literally waiting and hemorrhaging money
Yeah.
because trades were just exploiting
Yeah.
that relationship, and he has poured all our slabs but one.
Wow.
And I did ask him, you're going to put your price up, what, just so I know where we stand.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you did the right thing by me when it was quiet. Wow. And so those relationships they're what keep us going.
Yeah.
And what then we can pass to the client, that consistency, that, relationship we've built
I think
over
that's-
years.
But that takes a perspective of yourself having a long-term perspective.
Yeah.
Not, okay, like if I look back at the quiet moments where you could have offered him a low ball.
And we didn't.
Yeah.
Yep. And so that's one of those relationships that paid off to doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And look, we've done that with a lot of guys. Pretty much 90% of our core trades we do that too. But I think it's that just seeing it from their perspective and looking at it from the perspective of you turn up to work and all of a sudden, your wages are cut. No one would like that. So
And I know some guys, I don't talk to everyone, but
you don't.
That's a silly comment, but by the sounds of it, you sit down and sit alongside your trades and talk to them about.
Like I said, these guys make us.
It's not just a contractor that I just get in and out.
Nah, these guys got families. They've got,
Yeah.
you've got to treat them with the same respect as you would anybody else. They're not a disposable tool. That, yeah. And we do that with all our suppliers, not just trades. I mean, we've maintained reps that we've had for years in project building, and they've followed us through, and we've got that open relationship where if there's a problem we can talk about it. But it is a good time to consider building, and
Both the builder and the consumer?
100%, yeah. But aside from all of that, I think, to other builders listening to the podcast, I think what's important is that we just take 5 minutes to reflect what some clients have been through, and what some builders have put clients through. And, it's absolutely imperative that we instill some professionalism back into our industry, and some of the practices that had to be deployed through the boom, predominantly project builders, but other builders would have done the same thing. They can't form a standard form of business practice.
Yeah.
Like we need to give the client the journey that they're expecting. It's a lot of money when you build a home. So yeah, it's a call to the building industry and fellow builders to rise above and start putting some professionalism back into the industry. Be proud of our industry.
Yeah. One thing that it's been really cool and you've shared a lot of the changes you made when it comes to Handover. I know you were in previous businesses where you'd worked, and I hear this from other builders as well, even if they have the best intentions, Handover is just, it's dreaded.
Yep.
You know, because you're trying to you've put this date in, and things haven't maybe gone to plan, especially the last 2 years have been challenging for that. And so you're trying to do everything just to get it there, just to hand it over so you can breathe. And you haven't, like you said, taken 5 minutes and taken stock and gone, the client deserves a really, really great journey. You guys have done that and made some great changes in treating the handover as the climactic day. It should be one of the happiest days after their kids marriage and kids. And
I mean, we've done that across the board. Everything that we've done, we've literally, and even in conversations we've had with you, just bouncing, workshopping ideas, and it's always come back to, does it add value to the client? Yeah. And that is the only way to workshop any idea.
Yeah. What have been some of the ramifications or feedback from clients that have now gone through some of these changes you've made?
It's been good. It's been good. I think, I mean, there's nothing in particular where they've come back and said, "Oh, we really loved what you did here." I think it's just that whole journey. You can feel it. It's
the feeling is a big part. Of it.
Yeah. I mean, again, I go back to the car buying experience. No one ever rings the sales rep and says, "I love this car."
Yeah.
But you just love driving it every day.
Yeah.
And look, a couple of comments that resonate is, we love coming home to home, and some of these cliche things that you think you made them up, but they're genuinely what clients have emailed us saying. We've loved the adventure, we've loved the journey. So it's. I think at the end of it, it's not so much we're looking for that one thing. Hey, what did you enjoy about it? What we're looking for is
overall
at the
enjoyment.
end that we can put this client forward in front of a new client to talk. Yeah. And if they're happy doing that, you've nailed it. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, no one's gonna, if they hate your guts, no one's gonna want to take the time to, and look, we see it in different capacities. Like, we'll give clients addresses to drive past. Yeah. And clients will be gardening, and all of a sudden they'll, I don't know how this happens, but they start conversing, and next thing you know, they're showing them through their house.
Wow.
So we don't get feedback per se to say, we really loved this or we really loved it. But I think it's their actions after that really tell a story. And I mean, you guys have captured some of those stories.
Yeah, that's been a really, really special thing for us.
Yeah.
Is everything that you have said to us and communicate to us, and your genuine love for taking clients on an amazing journey has genuinely been what we've experienced. I mean, a big thing when we go in and do, case studies and stuff, we don't like you there. We ask people to stay away. Otherwise, what comes out of that client's mouth is just what the builder wants to hear. Yeah. And that's just through subconscious communication that's happened throughout the relationship. And when we get rid of the builder, we get
the magic comes up.
We get the magic, some of the little things.
And that's what I mean. So there's no one particular thing where I can say, we've made this change and they've loved it. Yeah. I think just the compound of changes, and just like I said, looking at it through the consumer's eye is really powerful. Yeah. It's the only way to really evaluate if what you're doing is working or not working.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. What, in terms of where things are going and where we're heading as an industry, what are some other things you'd like to highlight there? Where do you think things are going?
I think the industry will. It's going to be a tough years for the industry, obviously off the back of some ridiculous demands. So I think it's going to be an opportunity to just reevaluate how you do things, take a moment to consider that client journey, how you can improve it for them. It is their biggest investment after all. And I know it's, a bit cliche-ish, but, it's a 30-year loan. It's a long time to pay back. It's not like a car that you just flog it off and get another one in 5 years. A lot of these people are in there for the long haul. So you've got every reason to do it properly and consider that journey for them. So yeah. It's going to be a fun few years.
Yeah. What would you say you're looking forward to most when you look forward over the next 1, 2, 3, 5 years?
Haven't given it any thought.
Well, good, because we've got something coming your way early next year to help you, give you a framework to give that some thought and get you excited. So good.
What we look forward to as a business, like forget building, we do that for a living. That's just a lifestyle for me. It's just wake up, doesn't feel like work. It's just a lifestyle. What's a little bit foreign to me is that marketing, is the strategic planning. And I think as a business owner and with a team, what I look forward to is just hearing those ideas. Don't tell me what clients are loving. Tell me how we can improve things. How can we do things different to make that journey
optimize
better? So that's what I look forward to. Just actually workshopping. Okay, what do we do next? Do we talk about maintenance? Do we, how can we make that journey better for the client? So that's what I'm looking forward to see, revisit everything and go, cool, how do we make it even better?
You're going to love next year.
Am I?
Yeah, you are.
Cool. Can't wait.
Big transition that a lot of builders find quite hard is stepping off the tools when all of their systems and everything is up here in their head. What have been some of your biggest learnings that you could maybe pass on to those guys, young guys up and coming or guys that are now finally taking steps to step off the tools? Now you've got to put what's in your head out of it and put systems in place.
So interesting question, because I was fortunate enough, obviously, having grown up in the industry, the old man wasn't systems orientated. It was very loose, we'll call it. So, and I was really exposed to systems when I joined Project Builders. So cost centers, job costing, the whole 9 yards. And I'm very computer literate. So for me, I've always been software orientated, but seeing it in that light, there's a reason that they do it. And so...
You say there's a reason they do it?
The reason they do it is control.
Okay.
Control. You've got your finger on the
pulse.
Crazy
question. Why is control important in this space?
Look, building is a huge responsibility, not only to your clients, but your whole livelihood's on the line. So you can't take it lightly. Sure, you can come up with a 2-bit Excel sheet and run with that, and it'll probably serve you well for some time. But what I learnt is do what you do best and outsource everything else. And that includes software. So someone that writes software for the building industry is going to do it far better than what you're going to be able to do it whilst trying to build and serve clients and all the rest of it. So to have your finger on the pulse, profit margins, where costs are going, systems are imperative. So we use a whole suite of software, and we've been lucky enough as well to develop some of it with some developers or help them develop theirs, basically piggybacking off their software that then reads our software, and that's opened a huge market for them. So we've been pretty fortunate to help out
What are some of the first systems you would put in place if you were to go back and do it again?
Cost management, yeah. And look, again, with everything in life, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So software that does everything, and I won't name names, but software that claims to do everything, it probably doesn't do everything well.
Okay.
And you should consider software that doesn't do everything, but what it does do, it does exceptionally well. There is no silver bullet. There is not one software on the market, I can tell you now, that does absolutely everything in one package.
And
so we've had to resort to multiple packages.
Okay.
And the platform is all SQL based, so it all talks to each other and it's fully integrated.
Wow.
But the benefit of that is you put the client's details once and you're not double handling information.
Yeah.
So there's an efficiency side of it. We're massive on software. There's a lot
big
of
thing
benefit
that
to it.
some people I think overlook, and again it comes back to how much responsibility are you willing to take? Are things happening to you, or are you making things happen because of you? Guys look at software and it's like, oh man, I've got to do all that work to get it working, and that's a big turn off.
Yeah,
for a long time.
I can see why. I spent months setting software up, but it allows you to grow. Okay. It allows you to be efficient. So we're a small team.
And you get time back after investing that.
You get time back.
Yeah.
Yep. We're a small team, building 20, 25 homes a year.
Yeah.
And, the amount of work that we put out is eye-opening.
I am so impressed with...
It's down to systems, and we do use customer portals. Again, what's in it for the client? It just enhances their journey. Not so valuable for clients that live in Perth or live, 2 doors down from where they're building, but clients that might be living here, and we have built for clients that live in Queensland and they're building in Perth. It just allows them to be connected when they're not.
Yeah.
All their documents are on there, everything. So for upcoming builders, don't shortchange yourself on software, because it's those processes that will allow you to grow and build efficiently, and again supplement that journey for the client.
And your team is also, I'm kind of jumping from that topic to another one, but your team has been such an integral part. I know you definitely are an integral part of the business. Melinda is, huge.
So it started
part
with
of
just
business.
Melinda and myself. Well, it started with just me, and then Melinda came on board part time, and she's learnt a lot. We do have a lot of software, and she's learnt it all.
Wow.
So she has obviously become a very big part of the team, and to the point where strategic planning, I involve her in that process in steering where we're going.
Yeah, that's something I do really admire with you. You bring your team in like Melinda into our meetings, into our strategic chats, because from our perspective, the feedback we're going to get from her is different.
Yep.
And it's so important how as a person, she's going to be interacting differently with clients the way you do.
100%.
Because of her role, she interacts different.
Correct. And she sees things in a different light.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I see it in a particular way, she says, "No, we're not going down that path."
Like, that's been a few conversations.
There's been a few like that.
And she's like, "Yeah, but what about that or this?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, let's keep workshopping.
Yeah. And I think you need that.
Yeah.
So that diversity of ideas and input, and it just supplements that client journey.
So you, Melinda, and then what were the other roles that you have filled since then, and why them, and why in that order?
So we've taken on another lady, Lauren. So she assists Melinda in the 30-day accounts. And we've got a scheduler. So again, that was a difficult part of the business for me to let go, because having scheduled before, it really makes or breaks businesses. So scheduling is really important. And I'm not talking about the scheduling of like labour on certain days. I'm talking about procuring materials and labour, quantifying things. So that it makes or breaks businesses.
Yeah. Understanding
so
numbers is very important.
Well, they're also the last line of defence, which is, again, going back to project building. The schedule, if you can't picture how you're going to build something, then there's a problem because the trade on site's going to have the same questions you're having in the office. So it's only fair to the trades on site that if that occurs, well, we need more information. We need either a detail or a cross section or just more information on the plans. So they've got an opportunity to build this. Otherwise, we're going to have to do that later and also risk the wrong materials on site.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to guess. And look, having supervised for project builders, I saw that numerous times. Materials flashings that were never going to fit. They were never going to fit. And they should have just site measured them from the get-go. But that opportunity was lost.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's created opportunities now.
It's created an opportunity for me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, from that. So, yeah, we're learning constantly.
Yeah.
Learning constantly. It's a
brilliant,
amazing industry.
Nice. You got a super strong mindset. Your level of positivity.
You have to be in this industry. It is a hard industry. It's abrasive. It's a hard industry.
How do you, because that is one thing I do like with you, the positivity, problem equals opportunity, but there is a lot of mass media that doesn't gel with that. It sends a very different message out there. How do you navigate that space?
I mean, look, it depends on the problem, but look, one of the benefits when it was busy of being small is that we could, duck and roll and go somewhere else for materials. But when you've got 5,000 homes, you can't take that business anywhere. You're at the mercy of the supplier. Yeah. So, don't know. I've just always looked at life in general. I think that's just a person thing.
Okay. Is it a case of you've got very, very clear goals that you wake up excited to go after every day, or you have a morning routine that gets you
happy to be alive?
What does Washington's morning routine look like?
It's fluid with kids. No, but honestly, it is a hard industry, so it breaks a lot of people. I think part of the problem with the industry is that you don't have to be a builder to be a builder, and that fundamentally is wrong. I don't want to obviously talk about the negatives, but if you're not a doctor, you're not a doctor. You can't run a surgery and operate under someone else's license, which is how building is structured. So with that, there's going to be problems, and so I think one of the benefits with a lot of the small builders, and particularly small builders that you guys would deal with, is a lot of them are builders. Yeah, definitely. So that's unique in itself. Whereas big builders, they're generally accountants or they got no freaking idea about building, but they just employ someone that does know about building, but sometimes it doesn't go to plan, and they're the ones that end up in deep shit. But yeah, look, the positivity side of thing, even, I don't know if I told you, but we got defrauded of 40 grand and Melinda was like, she went white and Lauren just felt sick, and I was like, oh, well, could have been 200. But that's just, I think, me, it's just one of those things that you go, well, it can always be worse. So when someone makes a mistake, you don't get upset about it. You just, how do we fix it?
Yeah, like you said,
how do we fix it?
A 40 grand mistake is cheap compared to a 200 grand mistake.
It could have been worse.
Lesson.
Could have been worse. Yeah. So, and I just take that with everything, and some of the stuff we've learned along the way, where a client, where I'll say to you, I'm not sure that this video is going to come out how I think it's going to come out, and you go, it's going to come out amazing, you're going to need a box of tissues. Yeah. They're the sort of lessons that we've also picked up to say, cool, so when a client says to me, we know building, or just a negative, you don't reassure the negative and go, I can see why you'd feel that way. Like, no, we're going to have a great experience. We're going to have an awesome journey, and we're going to take you on an adventure of a lifetime.
Yeah, I think it is important that they get a sense of confidence from you. It's just the perspective you choose to view it in. So that's a personal thing. I think that's just, you've either got it or you don't. And I've always been like that. It doesn't matter what up comes to me. It's just like, cool, how do we fix it? How do we make it right? So that's not something that you learn. I think it's just
you either have it or you don't.
Do you read good content? Are you
Not
mentored?
really. No, I don't. I'm just generally a positive person. I don't know.
That's why I like chatting to you. It's good.
It's there's always someone doing it tougher.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
I think one thing that, and this is again something I admire with you is, and it takes a proactive approach. It takes, is when you go to have hard times or you have challenges, is, all right, what can I learn from this? I was talking to my wife about it last night. Like, let's be grateful for the challenges that we've gone through.
Yeah, they make you stronger.
But we have to choose to take lessons from it.
100%.
Otherwise, you're just going to be the woe is me. Yeah.
Well, I think Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Yeah.
And there's no truer word like. So if you want to change, you've got to make the change. Like, it's simple. So I don't know. Again, you surround yourself with good people, and that's what I love about this arrangement.
This being,
you guys,
yeah,
because I can bring up and go, I've had an idea.
Yeah.
What do you think of blah, 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 blah? And we'll start workshopping it.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, I'm a big believer that you've got to surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
People with good values, like you're all family people. Do you know what I mean? It's, you can't fabricate that. That just is, or it's not.
Yeah.
Like,
that's good.
So yeah.
Awesome. Epic. Well, Washington, big thank you, man. Big thank you for
no worries.
Thanks
for having me.
Stepping in here on your holidays and giving us the time.
I've been looking forward to it. I've been looking forward to it.
Us too.
That you guys actually do exist.
Yeah. We're not guys that live inside a plywood box.
Yeah.
All my selfies with the plywood background.
They do. Yeah. They do. They do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast. If you haven't already, visit bizvideo.com.au/podcast, where you can subscribe for updates to every new podcast episode.